wash my soul in the ocean, in the tears of God, I let it go.
Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from AstroLada.com, and these are your astrology videos for April 2022. The April 2022 is full of new beginnings again. All planets are moving direct, so we're continuing into new territory. A lot of new unexpected events for the whole world, but for us personally as well, where we're required to adapt and to act very fast, and we'll be surprised constantly. And the eclipses are starting. The eclipses! The whole financial situation and economy might be shaken. We already can feel it a month before that with an eclipse in Taurus, and we all have to adapt very quickly. Let's find out how it will affect you personally. It's going to be a very exciting month. And Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, wow, this is divine blessings that are given to us. They almost like can fall on our lap, and divine intuition. So let's see how to adapt. But first I wanted to excitedly to tell you that I'm doing a course of 6 months. Me personally, I rarely do courses, that how to interpret the natal chart, the AstroLada method. We're going to be using all techniques that I've gathered from Western Babylonian, Greek, Vedic astrology that work the best, and I'll teach you these techniques, how to read a natal chart, to put it together, to make sense of it. And you need to know minimal astrology, what the signs are, what the planets are, what the houses mean. And I will teach you my methods, and we'll look at different life themes, how to look at love, how to look at career, and how to, if you're analyzing a chart, what's the most important things, where to start, and how to answer questions of astrology very easy. I love easy techniques. I don't like difficult astrology. Astrology should have easy answers. I'm an Aries. I need quite quick, fast, easy answers. Not looking at semi-squares and midpoints. No, it has to be very simple, sticks out. So much fire, political career, fantastic, or whatever, So I teach you how I do that with very easy astrology techniques. Join me. It's 30% discounted for the first 150 people. So thank you so much. Let's start the 12 signs. Aries, rising sun or moon, April 2022. And the month starts with a bang for you, with a new moon in your sign. Exactly on the 1st of April, the sun, moon, and Mercury will meet in the sign of Aries, which means that all, especially the Aries born, the last couple of days of March, the first 2-3 days of April itself, but for all Aries, they'll feel an inflow of energy and new ideas that are coming to us. Keep a pen and paper or write on your phone whatever new ideas you come, especially whether it's your sun, or especially your whether it's your rising or your sun, and even your moon in Aries, but especially the rising and the moon, because these first few days of April, it's when you download information for the next 12 months, where it's being imprinted, the new ideas into your subconscious or conscious. They'll reach to you. Something can appear out of the blue, something that can give you a new stimulus, more energy, more excitement, a new vision. And because this new moon is very close to Mercury, it will very likely mean that you receive some important new information, that you meet someone. Mercury is also some new people that can open up new exciting venture or activities for you, for collaboration, for association with them, or even some project that is mercurial can appear in your life, can be connected to writing, to speaking of some sort, can be connected to business, to marketing, to any administrative task, or it can be connected to even to traveling or learning some new skill. Be open to it, because this can serve you for 12 months, and especially if you're those days that I told you, the beginning of April, the end of March, Aries born with your sun there, it means that the whole next 12 months for you will be under the influence of brand new beginnings, because your birthday falls on the new moon. So yes, you feel more seeing all of your areas, you start feeling into your power, the sun being in our sign, more revitalized. Your immune system should strengthen as well, your vitality, your sex drive. Even the sun is vitality, how many people around spring in the northern hemisphere start feeling more alive, and you naturally, with the sun coming into your sign, will come into this positive, uplifting energy, to be seen, to be active, to come out from the shadows. Most of the planets were in the 12th house for a long time for us. So maybe we felt a bit more tired, a bit more withdrawn into ourselves. And now you're going to start feeling from the beginning of April coming out into the world with more visible actions, and especially ones that are mercurial, like I explained to you what this means. And then on the 5th of April, there is a new cycle which lasts about 2 years, that starts for Aries, and it's triggered by Saturn and Mars meeting in your 11th house, which means maybe not exactly on the 5th of April, but that now starts from the beginning of April, something that you might be doing for the next 2 years, something that will require more of your efforts and hard work and consistency, because these are two more testing planets, Saturn and Mars, which means it requires willpower, which is Mars, and requires consistency and effort. And it's in the 11th house, which these two planets love the 11th house, because the 11th house is about long-term goals and dreams of yours that you can put in practical action with this conjunction happening there. It might take 2 years to fully unfold. Have a lot of hard work, also the need to collaborate with others, because the 11th house means larger groups of people. Maybe it's not going to be just like a solo activity. Maybe it will require like a team of people as well, or it can mean you're starting some project for some of you that will reach wider audiences, because 11th house is that the public, the clients, your followers, whatever it is, your if you have your business, your clients or your colleagues around, the social environment around. So some of you might be starting a very kind of demanding long-term project that it might feel overwhelming even at moments, and that you have to put a lot of efforts on. On a more negative scale, these two planets have a lower vibration, or more difficult vibration, let's say. So for some of you, it can indicate some difficulty with a friend, 11th house rules friends, or with someone from a social environment. Maybe that you have to help there, or that there is some confrontation that you have to deal with, some starting new problem that you have to solve there. Or some of you might have to solve some problem together, working with other people, with friends, to undertake some difficult task. Yeah, it might be difficult, but it can be very rewarding in the long term. The 11th house is also gainfulness. That would be your salary. That would be, if you have your business, the earnings of your business, the outreach to clients. So some of you might be undertaking some difficult task that requires you, that aim towards gaining more income, aim towards better salary, for example. And but you have to take some difficult steps which take you out of your comfort zone, because Saturn and Mars are not easy planets. It will require for you to be courageous, Mars, and consistent, Saturn. And if you apply those two principles, you can receive really positive results. If not, it can feel more frustrating, to be honest, than anything else. Okay, and then we have another very important, which happens once, I don't know, once every 12 years conjunction, or once every 13 years. Jupiter and Neptune will meet in Pisces. I've lost my Jupiter, I've lost my Mercury. The kids here are losing everything at home, so I'm just showing Venus will be also in Pisces, and Mars will join there. So there will be very strong activities in this 12th house for you as well. But let's speak specifically about the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that's going to happen on the 12th of April. But it's going to have a lasting influence there for the next 12 years. Something new again. It's a conjunction, new cycle starting again. You see a lot of new things. New moon, conjunction Mars, Saturn in your 11th house of goals that you have to work hard on, and the community. And in the 12th house, this cycle is much longer than the other two ones, 12 years, as I said. Jupiter and Neptune will not meet again till they are in Aries in more than 12 years from now. So what is starting? What is Jupiter and Neptune in your 12th house? First of all, 12th house is very psychic, and Neptune and Jupiter both rule Pisces, where they're going to be. So they're really going to fulfill that 12th house for you. And they're going to remove any barriers, because both Jupiter and Neptune dissolve barriers wherever they go. When they join together, it's like, I don't know, it's boundless, it's infinite what they can unlock there. And the 12th house is your subconscious. For some, maybe rare, more rare, but for some of you, there might be like an inflow of psychic insights or messages in your dream world that you receive from departed loved ones or from your higher self. Call it whatever you want, but the 12th house is that gate where the 99% of the invisible world and the 1% visible, because the visible world is just 1% of all that exists, where the walls between those two worlds thin out and Jupiter and Neptune really open up those gates. And so really pay attention this April. What hunches do you get? What intuitive insights? I think they'll be very correct and very true, and follow them. Some of you might go to a psychic reading or have a, experience with an astrologer or something more mystical, because 12 house rules those things, where you receive information which you don't normally have access to, information from the invisible worlds, from guides, from departed loved ones, call it whatever you want, from angels, so even if it's not like voices you hear or someone tells you, oh, I have a message for you from your departed loved one, it's going to be very strong hunches, signs and symbols. 12th house operates not through logic but through symbology. Are you going to be seeing numbers that repeat? And they'll tell you whatever you're thinking about that time when you see repeating numbers. So if you get like a strange emotional sensation or strange feelings, or you notice certain symbols like a bird flying through or wherever, it will have some meaning. You have to decipher those symbols. So it will be good if you check online, or what this thing that you notice, or this number or whatever, what does it mean for you? And as I said, pay attention to your dreams, because they will be very telling. And if you ever have a psychic reading or something like that, it's going to be most probably correct. The channels will be most open to receive information around that time. If you're someone who works with the imagination, which is also the 12th house, the floods of the imagination can open up when Jupiter and Neptune join. For example, if you're a musician, if you write prose, or if you are someone who creates anything, painting, or who has to spend a lot of time in a studio in a more isolated environment, this is the 12th house where you create, where you download information. You can download information right now. You can get an inspiration for some incredible project, for example, that you download in a single, over a few days or even in a single moment. So if you're one of those people, I think something really beautiful and very divinely inspired, because both Jupiter and Neptune symbolize Jupiter's angelic wisdom, Neptune is divine love. Imagine the merging of those wisdom, high vibrational wisdom and high vibrational love, what it is possible for the imagination in such moments. For others who are also researchers or scientists, again, they require sometimes such downloads from invisible worlds. They can also have some incredible finds that is starting to happen, or interest that requires you to research it. 12th house is also the house of meditation and visualization. So if you're someone like me who is not especially creative or a writer, or all of those things, maybe you will get some inspiration to create a vision board, for example, or you'd reimagine a future of some sort, and you'd feel it so palpably, so visibly, and because both planets are faith-oriented planets, it's almost like a mystical experience of faith that some of you can have, that prepares you for what is to come. Because very soon Jupiter will enter our sign, where it brings new opportunities for us from May onwards. And now in April, it can be like this preparation when Jupiter and Neptune join together, when it opens up gates for us in some way to mentally, psychologically prepare for what is possible. Communication with your higher self, so to speak. On a more down to earth level. The 12th house, where Jupiter and Neptune meet, rules rules faraway countries, or travels, international travels, or contact with uh, aliens, or people from the other side of the world, or people from the other side of uh, who have crossed over. So for some of you, it can mean the start of new beginning of some sort that opens up doors about with someone foreign. That can be very beneficial, or it can be the entering of your life of someone who opens the doors of your subconscious. And is it a teacher, is it a counselor, is it just a normal person that you meet who can help you understand some psychological self-undoing patterns that you had, and release them, because both Neptune and Jupiter really help you release whatever they pass, and make it happen in an easy way. It flows almost. So if you have some patterns that you need to release, like addictions, whether it's social media addiction, whether it's a substance addiction, whether it's anything that is self-sabotaging, or what you would consider a hidden vice of some sort that you're not very proud of, that you're kind of more compulsive about, that you don't realize why you're doing it, Neptune and Jupiter can really release you, heal you from that. It can be a process of healing. And sometimes stopping a drug abuse or some kind of addiction, it takes once to stop it, but it can be a process that unfolds for many years ahead, where you reintroduce yourself to the magic of life. So this is allowing you some, because 12 house also rules prisons, self-created prisons. So any kind of addictions, obsessions, they're self-created prisons, and Neptune and Jupiter can heal you now. It's a very rare opportunity for Aries, all Aries who have this, to tap into that and to feel liberation from such an easy liberation, again I repeat, from such self-sabotaging behaviors, hidden vices, and to say goodbye to it. And sometimes it can increase, because Jupiter and Neptune can put no barriers to that, to increase such behaviors. Can kind of culminate them, that you have no stop barriers, no ability to say no to them. But at the same time, sometimes from overdoing something, you can just satiate yourself to it, and you again release it without much pain, release it without missing it much, without this kind of I have to be a warrior, fight this. So some chemical thing is happening there, like a super chemical that something can bubble up in your subconscious about such behaviors, and they can be released eventually, hopefully. And 12th house is also foreign countries. For some of you, it can indicate the start of a new adventure to a faraway place, or even a travel to a faraway place. For others, it can indicate relocation to a foreign place, or anything connected to, even especially countries that are closer to over the ocean, because it's Pisces, you have to pass water or be close to water. It can also open and remove barriers to settling in a foreign country, for example. 12th house is spiritual studies and research. For some of you, it can be opening of a new world, and that makes life feel more magical and more out there, because you gain access to realization that there is other worlds, other realities, and you start on a journey of spiritual unfoldment, on spiritual practices, on mystical experiences, or learning something mystical or spiritual like astrology, or starting to study psychology to understand the subconscious. And also it can be a very powerful healing period for releasing pain and traumas, because 12th house also stores pains and traumas from past lifetimes or early childhood that are forgotten in the subconscious. And Jupiter and Neptune remove barriers of memory stores there. So some memories from the past can emerge, like past life memories or early childhood memories, and you suddenly have like realization why you behave in certain ways, and you're able to release that pain and trauma. But whatever it is, something that is making you feel in a prison, you can easily release it now. And then the last thing is that towards the 30th of April, there will be a full moon eclipse. We're starting the eclipses already. And full moon eclipses give indications for what's going to happen in the next 6 months full moon eclipse in it's going to be in, oh no, solar eclipse, sorry, not full moon eclipse, solar eclipse. Yes, there is a new moon on the 30th of April between the sun, the moon, and Uranus. It's 1 year influence it has. So don't expect it immediately to happen on the 30th of April. It can even happen before or in the next a few months after that, but it will give you this solar eclipse indications for very important events for the next 1 year. But some important events can happen around the end of April, and it's happening in your second house. It can be some sudden changes connected to a financial situation. Some new opportunities can appear suddenly because the new moon eclipse is with Rahu, which means something new that comes to you. Something, because Rahu is to get something, to receive something, it's more material. So you can develop new interests, a new passion to learn something new that can bring more gains financially, or to learn something about sources, assets, or you can develop passion to learn about cryptocurrency. Very Uranus, this topic, you know, kind of like a digital money, or to innovate your finances, or to innovate your payment methods if you have a business in Uranian lens. But it can also be some crisis triggered change that you start in regards to the second house activities, which is about values, assets, possessions. And crisis can be, I don't know, it might be something happening overall in the world financially, that you really have to take new steps and new directions over the next 1 year about how you deal with money, how you manage them. You have to incorporate a lot of new digital or new technologies. There are new ideas, and you have to be very adaptable when it comes to resources, to money, to finances. There can be a sudden new opportunity to invest in something that appears, sudden new opportunity to buy something important, or assets or resources of some sort. And the second house, on the most spiritual level, it's your self-worth. There can be an event trigger that creates to you to reevaluate your worth and to see yourself and to change your tastes. Even second house is taste. What do you consider valuable, attractive, tasty, worthy of paying money for, worthy of beauty? What do you consider? So there can be some shift that happens very suddenly in your values, in what you consider beautiful, tasty, what you consider worthy, you know. So it will be interesting to see what is triggered by that. And of course, some financial crisis can be happening there, that you need to reorient yourself and act quickly for financial opportunity. And because there are quite a few good aspects to this new moon eclipse, so I hope it's not so, you know, because eclipses often can be, especially on the world level, some crisis there. And second house is also about the food that you eat. There can be sudden new inflow of exciting energy, that new diet that you introduce. Like suddenly you don't eat meat anymore, or you introduce new foods, or totally new system of eating and what you put in your body, and you're excited about it. This is Uranus. All right, this is for you, Aries. Quite a lot of things. Thank you so much. And of course, if you want to study with me, join me on May the 1st for my 6 of longer week course, How to Interpret the Natal Chart, the AstroLada method. You need to know very little astrology to understand this course. Maybe the symbols of the planets and their main meaning, and the main meaning of the signs and houses. But everything else I'll teach you from scratch, the techniques that I use. So I'm very excited if you'll join me, and it's still on discount. Thank you.